Hey guys, it's Elisa, not Alyssa. Grocery shopping in Canada, grocery shopping in Italy. Very different experiences, and I want to talk about that today. If you don't know me, I'm Canadian. I was born and raised in Canada, and I moved away when I was 22, and I've been living in Italy for the past almost 4 years. So I think I've been here long enough to start talking about some general differences between the two countries. Before we start, if you want to support my channel, you can do so on Patreon. There's lots of exclusive content, including there's going to be a bonus video attached to this video that's going on Patreon. So if you want to see that, then go sign up. Having said that, let's begin. Oh, I can't begin. I'm on YouTube. I have to give a million disclaimers, otherwise people will lose their minds. I am generalizing. I'm going to be comparing basically the city I live in Italy, which is Fano, and I'm going to be comparing Elmer, Quebec, / it's right beside Ottawa. So if you don't know where that is, it's Ottawa, Canada, basically. Both of these towns have roughly the same population, so I thought that it would be a kind of fair comparison. But of course, I am generalizing, so it's probably not going to be the same where you live, whether you're in Italy or in Canada. Of course, in bigger Italian cities is a different story, and same thing with Canada. So having said that, now we can start with 5 differences between grocery shopping in Italy and Canada. Number 1, the niceness of the staff. Now, Canadians have this stereotype of being nice, being polite, which I don't think is incorrect. I think that's quite true. And this is especially noticeable when you're going shopping in general, but grocery shopping. For example, you walk in or maybe you're at the cash and the cashier always says hi. Like if the cashier doesn't say hi, that's weird. In Italy, they don't always say hi. Now, obviously this depends on where you live. So I'm sure if you're in a bigger city, people will be more polite to the customer and stuff like that. But here, it really depends on who you get. Most of the time, people don't even like say hi. Or if they do, they like sound like they hate their life. In Canada, we just have a different way of viewing it. It's like the customer is so important. Customer's always right. It's part of your job to be nice. So it's a good thing and a bad thing, because in Italy, you know how people are actually feeling, because if they're in a bad mood, they're just going to show you that they're in a bad mood. In Canada, even if somebody's having a rough day, it's like their job to put on a smile and be nice to you. So obviously in Canada, it's a better experience for the customer, but you know, I guess it's more painful for the person working possibly. And in Italy, people are more genuine, but as a customer, it's kind of like, I feel like when the people working there greet you and are super nice and smiley and hi, how are you? I mean, yes, that how are you is kind of artificial in the sense that most of the time people don't actually care about the answer, but it still kind of makes you feel good. So this isn't necessarily a better thing or a worse thing. It's kind of just different. I think it just depends on how you see it. Another part of this is when you need help finding something. In Canada, if you need help finding something, no problem. There's almost always somebody there, and you just say, hey, where can I find such and such thing? And oh yeah, no problem. It's just over here. It's like people are just so in a good mood. In Italy, I find that there are less people there to kind of just help you. Like people are usually the people working there are usually really busy. And so I rarely am able to find someone who can help. And when I do ask for help, it depends on the person, as I said, but the majority of the time, they're not in a good mood. Like they don't feel like helping you. I think this just comes back partially to it's part of your job in Canada, at least, to like be nice to people and smile and be bubbly and be extroverted and things like that. Those are things that are very valued in workers, I guess, in customer service and stuff like that. This is not to say Italian people are mean. I love Italians. In fact, I find that I chose to live in Italy, so please don't take this as like a criticism. It's just the truth, and you know it. It's funny because whenever I do get a cashier that says hi, I always say to my boyfriend, I'm like, hey, she was like this person was in a good mood. Like, wow, this person was nice. It's like always a surprise, which like it makes Italians, like if I say it this way, it makes Italians look bad, but like they're not bad people, okay? It's just a grocery shopping thing. It's just a shopping thing in general. Number 2, generally, I have found that Canadian supermarkets are much less busy and Italian supermarkets are almost always busy. Of course, there are hours where it's not packed, but I feel like as a general rule, it's really busy in Italy. When I would go grocery shopping in Canada, like it's just very relaxed. There's so much space. There aren't that many people usually. And I think there are multiple reasons for this. 1, Italians buy food more often. And one of the reasons why is actually one of my next points. Again, I'm comparing the bigger supermarket in Fano, and I'm comparing like a big-ish supermarket in Elmer, which I consider to be kind of equivalents. In Italy, grocery shopping for me feels stressful because I'm used to there not being that many people there. Another part of this is that the aisles in Canada are huge. Like there's so much space, you could fit like 3 or 4 shopping carts right beside each other, whereas in Italy, you can like just barely fit 2. There are multiple people trying to look for something, it gets a bit crowded and it feels a little bit more stressful. So that's part of what's contributing to this stressful feeling that I'm talking about. And this relates to our third point. Hours of operation. So as a general rule, Canadian supermarkets are open for longer and on more days. So in Canada, where I lived at least, it was much easier to find a supermarket that's open for 24 hours. And of course, if you're in Rome or something, like they have that, but I'm talking about this size of city. It's pretty easy to find one that's open for 24 hours, or at least most of them are open until I think 10 or 11 p.m. Where I live, I think it closes at like 9 or 9. No, it used to be 9:30 and now it's 9 p.m. And it's like, sometimes that can be annoying. And of course, this is better for the people who work there because they don't have to work late. But like as the customer, it's nice to have at least one supermarket that's open late in case you just need something last second, or let's say you're working all day and you only have time late. It's nice to have that option. In Fano, there aren't any supermarkets open 24 hours, and it doesn't even need to be open 24 hours. At least if there was just one open until 10, that would be nice. And I think this is one of the things that relates to my previous point. Part of the reason it's more busy is because it's open for less hours. For example, on Sunday, I think most supermarkets close at 12 p.m. or something. So you can't get anything in the afternoon or in the evening, which is great for the people working because they can like have a day off, spend time with their family. But as the customer, it's just for me a different experience. I have to get used to like, it's Sunday, I can't buy food. And I mean, it's been almost 4 years. I don't know why I'm not used to this, but I just always forget. Number 4, the food goes bad way more quickly in Italy. And I think this is a good thing because the reason it goes bad quicker is because the food is fresher and it's not full of like, I mean, as many preservatives and sprays and weird stuff that like makes it artificially last longer. Of course, because I'm used to the way that Canadian produce is, it's kind of annoying because I buy something and maybe I don't want to eat it within the first couple of days. Maybe I want to leave it in the fridge for a week and lots of stuff will go bad. Of course, it depends what it is. Apples last forever everywhere. But something like blueberries or I don't know, there are just certain things that just go bad quickly, and here they go bad in freaking 2 seconds. Whereas in Canada, things tend to last sort of suspiciously long, and I'm just used to that, so sometimes it's an annoying thing, but in the end I prefer it because I'd rather my food be fresher. I'd rather not have a bunch of preservatives on my food. Like, my body is sensitive, so I'm sure that's helping me. And because of this, the food tastes way better because there's much more local stuff. It's fresher. Generally, the food in Italy just tastes better. Like everything, fruits, vegetables, like just everything tastes better. And I think that's also because there's more of like a culture behind the food in general in Italy. Like in Canada, there might be some people that have their own cultures of food, but as a general country, there are less restrictions on like what you can put in food, and just it's great. Basically, as long as you get used to the idea that food goes bad quickly, like you'll be fine. The food tastes much better. I promise it's worth it. Number 5, there's generally much more international stuff available in Canada in your average supermarket. Food from everywhere, because the thing is, there's so many different types of people in Canada. Canada is really multicultural. You're much more likely to find food from all over the world. Italy does have this too. They do have some international stuff. In the supermarket I'm talking about, for example, the biggest one, basically in Fano, there's, I think, like Mexican food and there's Chinese/Japanese food, and that's kind of it. Like maybe there will be some specific products from other places, but it's not that easy to find. It's a little bit harder to find. And in Canada, you'll find stuff from like almost every country in the world. Here's another thing. It's not just in your average supermarket, but in general, there are so many more food stores specific to specific cultures in Canada. So there's a Lebanese store, there's a Chinese food store. Like usually it's kind of mixed, not just Chinese. Usually it's Chinese and Japanese and a bunch of other stuff. But there are so many or Italian stores where they have just Italian products. Like there are so many stores like that in Canada where they have things that are specific to each country, each culture, or whatever. In Italy, this is something that I've tried to search for, and I'm sure this exists. Actually, if you live in a bigger city, let me know what different types of stores there are of different cultures, because I'm sure there are probably like Chinese and Japanese and stuff like that, but I don't know, like South American, or is there a lot of variety in other cities in Italy? Because I mean, I've only lived in one place in Italy. So although the quality of the food in general is a little bit lower in Canada, there's a bit more variety, more international stuff. So this is really convenient when you want to switch things up, you want to try something from a different culture. And for the Italians watching this, when you want to switch things up, how easy is it for you to do that? Like, what types of foods do you like to experiment with and try every once in a while? Of course, part of the reason that there's less stuff available is because Italy has more of its own culture. And so there is a lot of variety in Italy. Like the variety of food that there is in Italy from the north to the south is just, there are just so many different things. And so that's not necessarily something you need. It's just something that I'm not used to. So it is a little bit harder to find specific things things sometimes, especially if you have like dietary restrictions, although they really are improving with this lately. If any of you have celiac disease, you can probably tell me, but I'm very sensitive to gluten. The past year and a half-ish, I've been eating without gluten. And so in my supermarket, there's a huge like organic / gluten-free section, which is great because I'm always getting stuff from there, like buckwheat flour, quinoa flour, millet flour. There's so many different types of flours, and I was actually really surprised to find that. So that's great because, I mean, with the younger generations, there are a lot more people who are sensitive to gluten, so it's great to have some gluten-free specific things. So if anyone wants those gluten-free products or just the individual ingredients, you can find, but there still is probably a little bit more stuff in Canada, I would imagine, but I haven't been there since changing my diet, so who knows. So those are 5 differences in the grocery shopping experience in Canada and Italy. I want to know what you guys think. By the way, there is, as I said before, a bonus video on Patreon with 2 more differences. If you want to see that, you can go to my Patreon right here. But I hope you guys enjoyed that. I love both countries. I love Italy. I love Canada. Please don't take any of these as a criticism of the country as a whole. I love both places. Personally, if I have to choose, I would say Italy wins because the food tastes great, and I love the food here. I love not just the food, I mean the ingredients, like not even specific recipes or anything. So Italy's a win for me. I mean, I did choose to live here after all, so that is part of it, I guess. Don't forget to follow me on my social media, like this video, subscribe, it's very important, and also don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss any videos. If you're trying to practice your English or Italian, you can join my Telegram group or my Discord or both. They're in the description. And that's all, my friends. Thank you for watching this video, and I'll see you next Tuesday. Bye!